Heather bought me, Heather actually buys things for me. So she bought a bike for me, for example. And one birthday she bought stand-up paddle boards. So now the two of us can go down to Minamara River, which is just near our house, and we can do things together on our paddle boards. And Heather's always a lot faster than me, and while she's waiting to catch up, she's got a special board called a yoga paddle board. So you want to demonstrate? No? Okay, well I'll demonstrate. What happens is that Heather does this warrior pose while she's waiting for me. It looks like this. And I try and catch up while she's doing her warrior pose.
I reckon he's just deliberately slow so he can see more warrior poses.
That's right. These are all fantastic adventures and they've got the wow factor, but they're not repeatable. Okay, each of us have experiences in our life that we can look back on and think, that was incredible. We did this together, we saw these sights, we did these experiences, but they're not ongoing, they're once off. And we call these adventures in the world. They're memorable ways, but they're often the most important ways that we can enhance and develop our relationship. Exciting adventures that occur day by day in our very own homes. And we call these adventures in the home.
I remember in the old days, one of our adventures in our home in Tumut, the first time when we moved to a house that had a dishwasher. And this was a new experience for us because I remember the first night when after the meal, John, you walked over to the dishwasher and you started loading it, you know, simple thing to do, having a dishwasher first time. But all of a sudden my libido skyrocketed in that instant. And even though it was peak hour, it was midweek, we had 3 small kids and it skyrocketed. So not wanting to waste a moment, we put on Play School video. And yeah, which shows how long ago it was. And we had a romantic interlude.
Whoa.
You've had a loyal commitment to the dishwasher ever since.
That's true. Now, just a reality check for the blokes. There's not a one-to-one correlation between loading the dishwasher and romantic interludes. Okay. And some blokes have come up to me after a talk before and asked what brand did I use. It doesn't really matter. I use one called a Thrill Max, if that helps, but that's a bit technical for you. And
even now, sometimes you load the dishwasher when there's nothing inside. Just in case.
Just in case.
The main thing I learned, though, was the fact that if something is working well in a relationship, tell your partner. I told John at the time that loading the dishwasher was a turn-on for me. And the rest is history.
It's history. And something I learned then is that I continually ask myself, what can I do in my daily activities that could be a turn-on for Heather? And I've discovered some amazing things. For example, I don't run, okay, basically. Is that a fair statement?
That's a very fair statement.
That's right. So if I run for the phone, Heather says, God, that really turns me on when you run for the phone. That's new information. I wouldn't have known that if she hadn't told me. And other things that are turn-ons as such, inverted commas, are praying together and also not being defensive. If you give me feedback, if I try and take it on board without straight away saying that's not true.
So that's really, when I told you that that's a turn-on, when you actually responded so well to feedback one time instead of taking the defensive route, you all of a sudden changed your way of responding. Yeah. So it was worth me telling you what that does for me inside. So in our parenting days, I remember the way that I felt so valued by you was when you stepped up to discipline the kids. I know it was hard for you because that's not naturally your temperament. It's not your nature, but the end result was that I felt you were on my side. You had my back and we were in this together as a team. I didn't feel all alone when you chose to step up.
So valuing and honouring each other in the day-to-day stuff of life can add great zest to our marriages. There was one occasion just before the month leading up to my 55th birthday when 4 members of the band I used to play with turned up on my doorstep with their instruments. Heather had arranged all this unbeknownst to me, and the kickback was then a month later my birthday, the band was going to reunite. As an aside, we used to be called the Mixed Herbs with the reunion, we've changed our name to the Dried Herbs. That's just the passage of time as such there. But life with Heather is full of adventure. She's a keen party organiser, and she wasn't put off by the very first surprise party she organised for me when I didn't turn up. She had everything arranged. The extra doctor was supposed to turn up to take my place at the hospital, and he didn't show up, so I was busy working on a Mount Druitt Hospital casualty, unbeknownst the fact there was all these anxious and hungry and annoyed people waiting for the birthday boy to arrive.
60 people. I had to ring John in the end and say, look, come home quick, please. There's a burglar breaking into the front window. And you actually believed me because we were living in Mount Druitt, so that was fairly common. And yeah, you came home quick and finally the party boy had arrived.
What I should have done was rung the riot squad to go around to the house to sort things out before I got there. So you can see that adventures can take place on a regular occasion right in the security of our own home. We don't have to travel mountains, climb mountains, go around the world. We can actually have adventures in our own home on the day-to-day. And Heather's intention with all these surprise parties is a real act of love. It reminds me how special I am to her that she's actually wanting to arrange a surprise party for me. And this is an intentional and creative way that you can show your love. So that's an adventure in the home. Even greater adventures can happen between us in our relationship. We try to change from the inside out to be more like the person we want to become, and often our partner has an important role in changing us. Just like the stones get smooth by knocking against each other, well, I've been knocked against a fair bit and I'm a lot smoother as a consequence. So this day-to-day stuff, this smoothing out occurs. And what we call this type of adventure is adventures of the heart. So my growing edge as a person has become more able to stand up for Heather in public. Okay, this is something I've always struggled with because in my family we never had a harsh word. My parents never argued the whole time I was living at home. And I didn't experience the fact that any type of arguments or standing up was a natural thing to do. In fact, I used to try and run from conflict. I used to have a situation where I'd try and avoid it and hope it would go away. That works a little bit, but that doesn't work so well in marriage, to try and avoid things and not try and face up with them. And as a consequence, I developed the style of being a peacemaker. And a big part of the adventure in our marriage is for me to be able to step up when you need someone to watch you back. And that's something, a growth point that I've really been learning. Yeah?
Yeah, very much so.
And one thing that's helped me to learn this is this picture. Now this is a picture of two bald eagles. And I thought the bald aspect was quite appropriate. I could relate to that. As a side, I'm bald because my hair has been loved off. If that's a helpful concept to anyone in that, the reason that's bald has been loved off, that hair. Okay. But not only the bald eagle's appropriate, it illustrates the sense of being able to spring into action to defend Heather, defend the partners. Because bald eagles, they mate for life. The two of them go right through life together the whole time. And they actually watch out for each other. You see, one's looking each direction, they sort of watch each other's back the whole time.
We watched these eagles for 30 minutes, just sitting underneath that tree for 30 minutes while we were in Alaska, and just to watch their behaviour was extraordinary.
And so I put this picture up on our wall, and underneath it I put these words. A bald eagle has strong eyesight and sees things in the distance. They mate for life and protect their partner against all threats. They're quick to react to adverse events. They rely on God to lead and guide them. I just made that last bit up because I'm not quite sure of eagles' spiritual leadings. But the reason I made this up is the fact that this is to remind me that I need to step up in our relationship and be a bald eagle, someone that Heather can trust, who's going to watch her back when things get tough.
And John has recently even stepped up a step further and challenged somebody recently who'd been doing some really wrong actions that had major ramifications on us. And for many reasons that we won't go into, it was important that the feedback actually came from John rather than from myself. And words will never express how proud I was of you when you stepped up in that way. And I expressed my gratitude in this card. Brave. Even found an appropriate card for you. Dearest John, I've never been so proud of you in my whole life as I was yesterday. I cried out to God to enable you to be a lion, and you were. Thank you for relying on the boldest lion of all, our Heavenly Father, to give you all that you needed to stand firm and speak up. Thank you for being strong and courageous, and for being a bald eagle too, and protecting me. I love you.
So you can see I've graduated from being a bald eagle to a lion. And this demonstrates the fact the most satisfying adventures in our marriage can actually occur within our hearts, our relating to each other. Not waiting for external adventures, but actually waiting for the adventures to happen in our own marriage. So we're going to have a look at the concept of growth and stability. I'll show you these two circles here when they come up. Okay, you can see two different circles. Inside the different circle is the thing called the comfort or safety circle. And most of us spend most of our time in this comfort circle. But the challenge is that, well, the reason we do it is because it's comfortable, true? But the challenge is it's also a bit repetitive and monotonous and same old, same old. We have to actually step out of the comfort circle to the outer circle, which is the growth circle.